Good afternoon, Imperial County seniors. We are so excited to have you join us for the first day of Imperial County Higher Education Week. Over the next 2 weeks, we're hosting close to 40 colleges and universities that are going to be available for you to provide you information, deadlines, and other details that are going to help you as you begin preparing to apply for colleges and universities as early as October 1st. We're so excited to have you start Higher Ed Week with a good friend and a person who is just so dedicated to Imperial County. Her name is Esther Rodriguez, and she is an admissions counselor for San Diego State University in San Diego. So with that, we ask you to relax, enjoy the next 4 hours that we have prepared for you today. With different colleges and universities. But for now, I'm going to send it over to my friend Esther. It's all yours. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Thank you. Denise, I emailed you a video right now. I don't think I have access to share my sound. Do you mind playing the video from your screen?
Yes, if you want to get started, I'll pull that up, Esther.
Perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning, or sorry, good afternoon. My head's still morning. My name is Esther. I'm an admissions counselor for San Diego State University. I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to my colleague, Rocio. I'll let her introduce herself while I set up the presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rocio Zamora. I am an outreach specialist with the Office of Educational Opportunity Programs and Ethnic Affairs at San Diego State University. I'll be co-presenting with Esther specifically on what resources are available for first-gen low-income students at San Diego State.
Esther, I've got your video ready to play whenever you're ready.
Okay, go ahead and you can play it if you'd like, and then I'll share my screen after. Oh, no. Thank you. Okay, so let's get this going. So once again, thanks for having me. Again, my name is Esther. I'm an admissions counselor. A little bit about myself. I am from San Diego, born and raised. I went to high school in San Diego. After I graduated, I went straight to SDSU. I lived in the residence halls my first year. I joined a Latina-based sorority. I was a university ambassador, so I gave tours. I studied abroad. I went to Oxford University. So I got a great opportunity I did what I could while I was in college, but sometimes I wish I could have done a little bit more. And I think programs like this really help you inform of what the university has to offer. I think especially for first generation students, when you're first, trying to figure out this whole college thing, yes, academic the academic component of a university is on one hand, but also what else does a university have to offer you? So one of the things that I do encourage you all to keep in mind when you are exploring universities is that it's not just about the name. It's not just about it being the best of the best of the best of the country. Keep it in mind, you're going to be living in this place. You're going to build your community in this place for the next 4 years. So take a look at the university as a whole, rather than just, does this school have my major and is it good for my major? Great. Because it could be a really great program, but maybe it's in a city that you're not too fond of. So, you know, those are some of the things to also to take into consideration when exploring colleges or universities. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay. So San Diego State University is one of the Cal State universities. We are part of the CSU system. We're one of 23 CSUs up and down the state, with the southernmost campus being us, SDSU. We're about a 10-15 minute drive from downtown, the beaches. I know a lot of you have probably been in San Diego. A lot of you probably have family in San Diego. But just so you can get a better idea, right here on the right side, you can see a map. So this little faint line that you see right here, that's the 8 freeway. So I know the 8 freeway runs all the way, you know, to the Arizona, California border and even further than that. So this is where the 8 freeway kind of, I guess, starts or ends, right here in this ocean right here. So definitely a close area. And we're also one of the only universities in the city of San Diego to have a trolley and bus transit stop on campus. So it's super convenient for students to be getting around the university, getting around the city of San Diego, I mean. Whether you want to go to downtown, whether you want to go to Old Town, whether you want to go all the way down to San Isidro, the trolley will take you anywhere, and if not, the bus will as well. And weather-wise, I mean, I know you all have, you know, your perfect weather in the valley. I miss it, to be honest. I miss the little heat that I used to get, but we've been getting a little heat in San Diego the last couple weeks. So it kind of, you know, was a little reminiscent of Imperial Valley. But for the most part, we have, you know, 70-degree weather year round. We have a variety of programs to promote student success, which I will be talking about in the next slide. But right now, I do want to mention that we have a little over 34,000 students enrolled in the university. About 30,000 of them are pursuing an undergraduate degree. The other 4,300 are pursuing a master's or doctoral degree. So when you're looking at this term undergraduate, that just means bachelor's degrees. So yeah, overall we have over 200 academic degree choices to choose from. We're number 1 in the nation for sending our students abroad. Obviously, with everything that's going on with the pandemic right now, we did bring our students back, but as soon as it's safe to do so, we're doing our best to make sure we're supporting our students so they can still continue to have that international experience. And we'll talk about study abroad in the next slide as well. We're in one of the top institutions for campus ethnic diversity and one of the top, Best Value Colleges, Forbes America's Best Value Colleges. So just entirely with the Cal State University system overall, we are the most affordable university system in the nation, where you still are getting a high quality education. So that's one of the things that we really do pride ourselves on. We do pride ourselves on being a Hispanic serving institution, HSI. We recently opened up our Latinx Resource Center that supports, you know, all of our students. We also have our Black Resource Center, the Women's Center, the Pride Center, the Desi Asian Pacific Islander Center, the Intercultural Center. Trying to think of, I know I missed a center, Rocio, if I miss someone out, please let me know. But we have a variety of centers to support all of our students, whether they identify with the center or whether they want to just be an ally and support the people that center is meant to support as well. We also have studying abroad, one of the components to support student success. So our study abroad programs can vary anywhere from 1 week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks. 1 week, you can do like a spring break, alternative spring break. So instead of having a vacation, you study abroad for a week in another country and you get college credit for it. Plus you still get to have that international experience. You can go for 3 weeks over winter break, which is a program that I did. I went to Oxford University for, actually, it was actually 4 weeks. 3 weeks I was at the university and 1 week I got to travel around Europe. I really saved up my money for that. Plus I got 2 scholarships for it. So I really didn't have to pay much out of pocket, thankfully. If you are thinking about studying abroad, I would recommend preparing like about a year in advance financially, so that when the trip comes around, then you're like, okay, I've been preparing for this. Because like for me, for instance, I knew that my trip was going to be a little expensive because I was going to Europe. So I kind of had planned it a year before I started working. I was saving my money. I was applying to a bunch of scholarships because I knew that when I studied abroad, I wanted to make sure I had enough money to, you know, have food, be able to travel in other countries. So it is definitely, it's not, you know, the most affordable thing in the world. However, scholarships make it so that you don't have to pay anything out of pocket or very little out of pocket as well. So it's pretty good. Other programs, we have career services. So career services is doing amazing things with our students right now, especially with the pandemic, with our graduating seniors, with our continuing students. They operate through a program. Right now they're operating a lot through a program called Handshake, which is a website where students can go create their account and it matches them with employers. They also have workshops through Handshake. So if you're trying to figure out, oh, I need a resume workshop, or I need help, I need to meet with a career advisor, anything like that, career services will be able to help you. Again, all these services are only available to current SDSU students. If you decide you want to go to our Imperial Valley campus, so our Calexico campus, all of these services are also still available to students in Imperial Valley as well. Next, we have the Weber Honors College is a step up from just being an honors program. There are a lot of benefits to being in the Honors College, and I will, at the end of the presentation, I'll put their link in the chat so that you can have it, so you can figure out what the criteria is to get into the Honors College and what the benefits are. But just to name a few, you do have a minor in honors. You will be living on the honors floor your first year. You have a study abroad requirement as part of your minors. You have access to advisors that are just for honors students. So there's a few benefits to getting into the Honors College. And then finally, undergraduate research. We do pride ourselves in being a hands-on university, as every CSU is. So really getting you into the field and diving into whatever it is that you are going into, whether it's social sciences, whether it's a STEM field, whether it's business, whether it's you are looking into 2 to 3 different areas and you're trying to figure out how to combine it. We do a lot of interdisciplinary work as well. All right, moving into our colleges. So we are divided into 7 different colleges. These are the first 5 right here. So we have the Fowler College of Business, which obviously has all of our business majors, anywhere from accounting to finance, management, or marketing. If you're trying to figure out which business major to choose and you're not sure, I recommend just pick one, because all the introductory courses for all business majors are going to be the same. So whether you're an accounting major or a management major, you're still going to be required to take finance, accounting, calculus, statistics, business law, just to name a few. So whatever it is. So your first 2 years, you're going to be taking the same classes for any of the business majors. Same idea with engineering. Some of the introductory courses will vary from major to major, but for the most part, most introductory engineering courses will be the same, whether you're in aerospace engineering or mechanical engineering major. Next, we have the College of Education. This Child and Family Development is a major for students who are interested in working with students, families, kids, teenagers, in any capacity, whether you want to go be a counselor, where you want to go be a therapist, a psychiatrist, if you want to be a school counselor, if you want to go be a pediatrician, if you want to go to medical school and work with kids in medicine, whatever it is, child and family development is a great major for that. The College of Education also houses our liberal studies majors for students who want to be elementary school teachers. And we recently, in the last 2 years, added an ITEP program, which is an integrated teacher education program, which means that you get your your bachelor's degree and your teaching credential in 4 years, so that when you graduate, you don't have to go and still pursue your teaching credential. You can just graduate and begin looking for a job because you'll already have your teaching credential. Next, we have the College of Health and Human Services, or HHS for short. It has our majors such as kinesiology, but also nursing. Nursing is our most impacted major. This means that we get more applications than we have spaces for overall throughout all our majors, but nursing has the most limited spots due to the limited spots in the clinical rotation. So because there are limited spaces in clinical rotations, then there's limited spaces into our nursing program. Nursing is also our only direct admit program. This means that in order to be considered as a nursing student at SDSU, you do need to be accepted as a nursing student to SDSU. So for instance, let's say you apply to SDSU, you get in as an electrical engineering major and you decide, actually, I want to switch it to nursing. you wouldn't be able to do that. You'll be able to switch it to other majors, but you can't switch your major into nursing. That's what direct admit means. If you are interested in nursing, we do, students should have a B or better in both semesters of biology, of chemistry, and of intermediate algebra or higher. And that's an unweighted B. So like that means even if it's an AP class, it should still be a B for both semesters. Next, we have the College of Professional Studies and Fine Arts, PSFA for short. And so PSFA right here has all of our majors. It has a little bit of everything, to be honest. Anything from communications to criminal justice. I know a lot of you had questions about that. So CJ, criminal justice administration, journalism, but also has our majors where you're going to be auditioning, such as dance, music, and theater arts performance. These three majors require you to pass an audition. So not only do you have to submit your application around December, January, after you submit it, you'll be contacted so that you can, with directions on how to submit your audition, whether it'll be in person or if we'll be requiring only takes because of the pandemic and everything like that. All right, I see some questions coming in real quick. So is there musical theater? Yes, there is musical theater. Does Imperial Valley campus have sports? Does it participate in sports? I'm not too sure. I know that if sports, they'll be able to, you'll be able to do that. If you want to go watch sports, you'll also be able to do that as well. Did anyone else have anything to add to that?
Well, Esther, if I could chime in right now, I want to keep you on. I want to keep you going on track.
Gotcha.
My name's Todd, and I work here at ICOE. And so here's what we'll do. I'll monitor the question and answers. And by the way, we're getting some great questions.
Yeah.
I'll monitor the question and answers. You and your partner Rocio can continue to move it along, and then I'll chime in from time to time with a question or two. And then I know at the end you have some time at the end where you're going to ask some questions as well. So I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna keep going and we'll answer the rest of the Q&A at the end, okay? All right, sounds good. So next we have, the last two colleges that we have are the College of Arts and Letters, which has all of our liberal arts majors such as Africana Studies, Chicano Studies, International Business, Language, Culture and Societies, Religious Studies, Women's Studies, Sociology. So it has that mix of majors right there. A lot of times students end up minoring in the College of Arts and Letters or double majoring as well. So sometimes some STEM students, you know, they love their math and science class, but they're also pretty interested in sociology or interested in what's happening in politics. So they end up minoring in political science or sociology or double majoring sometimes even. It really just depends on the student. But we do have the support at SDSU to help you figure that out and what's gonna be best for you. Next, we have sciences, anywhere from life and physical sciences right here. Our College of Sciences, it has a really great student support area. So areas where students can seek tutoring, seek advising, peer advising, and they do a lot of interdisciplinary work with the College of Business as well. If you don't have a major, you can just apply as an undeclared student and, you know, we'll help you figure out your major from there. Really, undeclared is reserved for students who absolutely have zero idea what they want to study. They just know they want to go to college. For the most part, I usually find that students are kind of have an idea of what they want to go into and they're like, oh, I don't know what area I want to go into. If you're in that boat, I recommend just picking a major. And if you come to SDSU, you decide, okay, well, maybe this isn't for me, but maybe in this realm, I've gotten some introductory courses completed as part of whether you switch from one major to another. And then pre-professional programs, I know a lot of you said that you're interested in going to medical school or studying a health field or anything like that. While we don't award medical degrees at SDSU, we do help our students prepare for medical school. So the medical show the way that works is you go to college and during your senior year of college, you're applying to medical school. Whatever you're doing right now in senior year of high school, you're going to be repeating that process again in college so that you can apply to medical school or law school or pediatrics or optometry school, whatever program that is that you want to go, that is considered an advanced degree. Okay, so what are we looking at here? So first and foremost, I'm going to address right here this on the right. So I know all of you had questions about this. So in alignment with the Cal State University system, we will not be considering the SAT or ACT for first year applicants for spring 21, fall 21, or spring 22. SDSU only has fall 21 admission. So what this means is that you will not be required to take the SAT or ACT no matter what. Even if you have a perfect score and you send those scores in, we are not allowed to consider those scores. And the reason for that is just because not everyone has scores. So it's not fair for some people to have some scores and have them be considered while other students weren't able to take an exam because of COVID. And so therefore they don't have scores. So overall, none of the 23 CSUs will be considering SAT or ACT exams for admissions decisions. So, and that's the same as well for the University of California. And the UCs I know will cover it as well, but just know none of the public schools in the state of California are allowed to consider the SAT or ACT to make an admissions decision. So just, if you haven't taken it, don't worry about it. If you have taken it, you're wondering, what do I do with my scores? You're more than welcome to send them in. We can use the scores. Let's say if you are admitted, we can use the scores to determine where we're gonna place you in math and English for your first year in college, but it's not going to be a detriment to you if you don't submit scores, or if you have bad scores, or if you just don't submit scores at all. So don't worry about it. Next, important date, our application opens up on October 1st and closes on December 4th. This year, we're closing out on December 4th because of the way that Thanksgiving falls on. Thanksgiving falls like 2 or 3 days before November 30th. So the CSU has extended that deadline for all 23 Cal State campuses. Whether you're trying to go to Cal Poly, Pomona, or SLO, whether you're trying to go to Long Beach, whether you're trying to go to San Jose or SDSU, we all have a December 4th deadline. You're going to be going to this website, calstate.edu/apply, creating your account, and selecting the campuses that you want to apply to. Each campus application is $70. If you qualify for a fee waiver, you can get up to 4 campuses waived. We do not consider the College Board fee waiver. The CSU has its own fee waiver embedded into the application. And so we're going to ask about your household income and your household size to determine if you qualify for a fee waiver or not. Okay. After you submit your application, you're going to be creating a web portal account, which is how we're going to be communicating with you, which is how we're going to be letting you know, hey, in March, hey, an admissions decision is ready for you. Check your web portal to see what that decision is. So just keep that in mind. Don't worry about this January 22nd deadline. That is only for transfer students. So students that are at a community college at the moment and are looking to transfer. If you are in high school and you're taking community college courses, you are not a transfer student. You're still a first-time freshman applicant with college credit. Okay. Okay, moving it down into March right here. So admissions decisions begin going out in March. You'll be notified via web portal. And then in March, we also have our open house, which is called Explorers DSU. So if you go on that website right there, you'll be able to find more information. I believe around January, February is when it'll be updated with the 2021 event updates. And finally, if you get admitted to SDSU and you decide you want to come to SDSU, then our deadline to accept your offer is May 1st at 11:59 p.m. How do you do that? You log onto your web portal and there's going to be instructions on how to go ahead and accept your offer to SDSU. Okay. All right, so what are we looking at for freshman admissions if we're not considering the SAT? Well, we're still going to be considering A through G courses, so that hasn't gone away. So all of you are in a California high school, so you are all following A through G pathway, so you should all be prepared or preparing to complete all of this by the end of your senior year with at least a C or better in these classes. Anything that goes above and beyond the minimum will also be considered in your A through G. So let's say if you do 4 years of math, that fourth year is going to be considered into your GPA or into how many A through G courses you've taken. If you do that 3rd year of laboratory science or even a 4th year of laboratory science, that'll also be taken into consideration as well into your GPA. So how exactly are we counting your GPA? The CSU GPA that we consider is your GPA in only your A through G courses starting in 10th grade. So after anything you've taken from the summer between 9th and 10th grade and forward will be counted into your GPA. So whatever you did in 9th grade will count for A through G credit. It will not be counted into your GPA. So just keep that in mind. Next, we will weight your GPA up to 8 points if you're taking AP, honors, international baccalaureate, or community college coursework, all of that does weigh your GPA up to 8 points. And then finally, grades are self-reported. So when you are filling out your application and you're like, where do I submit my transcripts or anything like that? We don't request transcripts until you're offered admissions. So we're depending on students to report everything as accurate as possible. And then if you are admitted, then that's when we request transcripts. So transcripts are not due until May 1st. And that's gonna be 7th semester transcripts. Again, your transcripts are not due until May 1st for 7th semester, meaning your fall 2020 grades. Your 8th semester transcripts, meaning your final transcripts, will be due July 15th. And don't worry about it, we'll be continuously send you reminders. So if you're like, oh, what if I forget? We're gonna continuously send you reminders. So just always check your email. And so when you send your transcripts in by May 1st, what we're looking for with your transcripts is that you reported everything as accurately as possible. So whatever is on the application reflects what's on your transcript, but also that you don't have any D's or F's in your senior year. Any D or F in your senior year can put your admissions at risk. So just keep that in mind. Just make sure you're passing all your classes. And then what else are we considering other than GPA and grades? We're gonna be looking at your preparation towards indicated area studies, specifically for the engineering majors. And for obviously nursing, I already mentioned those classes that you should be taking: biology, chemistry, and intermediate algebra. And also computer science. So all the engineering majors, nursing, and computer science, we're gonna consider preparation towards your indicated area of study. So if you wanna go into environmental engineering and you've taken environmental science, so if you've taken above the 2-year minimum, you're taking your biology and chemistry, but you also took environmental science, and maybe you also took physics, that's gonna make your application more competitive. If the better grades you have in those math and science fields, that's gonna make your application stand out for us as well. Other items that we're gonna consider is local students. So as Imperial Valley students, you are all considered students in our local area. So that's one of the things that's also gonna be given a certain additional consideration to. So those are the items that we're gonna be looking at. Every CSU is gonna have their own admission criteria. So make sure if you're wondering, well, is SDSU criteria gonna be the same as, let's say, Cal State Long Beach? And the answer is no. Because of all the changes, all 23 CSUs are gonna have their own criteria, how they're gonna consider students. It'll be similar, but each school will have something very, very specific to them. So if you're curious about another school or anything like that, I would always recommend just jump onto a search engine and look up, Cal State Long Beach freshman admissions 2021, or San Jose State freshman admissions 2021, to see what it is that they're gonna be requiring for the class of 2021. Transfer criteria, I'm not going to get into this too much because I want to let Rocio go into her area. But if you are interested in transferring to SDSU, we don't accept lower division transfer students. So this means that students should be completing at least 2 years at a community college before transferring to SDSU. And Imperial Valley College is one of the community colleges where we consider priority registration for our students, or priority consideration for our students. So whether you're coming from high school or you're coming from a community college, if you're coming from a school in Imperial County, then you'll be given priority consideration because you are considered in our local area. All right, tuition for California residents, you're looking for basic tuition and fees. So basically, how much is that first year going to cost you just for classes, just to be a student at SDSU? That's $7,720 for California residents. So you are all graduating from a California high school, therefore you would all be considered California residents for the most part. So you're going to be paying in-state tuition for that. And then anything additional miscellaneous costs. So this is money that would go directly to the university. And then miscellaneous costs, whether it's books, your laptop, personal transportation, whatever it may be, this is the cost that we estimate. This housing cost, you don't have to live on campus your first 2 years because technically you're local students, but because home is 2 hours away from San Diego, a lot of students from Imperial County do end up living on campus, but sometimes some of them have family in San Diego. They're more than welcome to live on campus if they'd like. But if you do live on campus, this is the estimated cost. This can go up or down depending on the meal plan that you choose and depending on your housing accommodation, so how many roommates you have. So that's gonna fluctuate. But if you're looking at, well, how much is it just to be a student at SDSU without living there, without miscellaneous costs, it's gonna be this. You don't pay everything up front. Typically tuition and fees, when you pay it, half is in the fall and half is in the spring. So if you're getting a scholarship or financial aid or anything like that, your awards are always gonna be split between fall and spring semester. So if you're getting like an $8,000 scholarship, we're not gonna give you all 8,000 at once. We're probably give you the 4,000 for the fall and 4,000 for the spring, and that should be enough to cover your tuition and fees, and then have a little money left over. Sometimes some students get more than that. So it really just depends. You can see how much, you can calculate how much financial aid you might be eligible for, and how much costs, how much you would be required to pay for school using this website right here. I would also recommend starting October 1st that if you have a social security number that you apply to the FAFSA. If you don't have a social security number, that you submit your California DREAM Act application so that you can be considered for financial aid, whether it's federal grants, if you apply for the FAFSA, state grants, if you apply for the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act. You can also be considered for loans for the FAFSA, for federal loans. You could be considered for the EOP grant if you're if you qualify for the California DREAM Act or the FAFSA, state university grant, any scholarship that's state money is eligible for both students that are submitting either FAFSA or California DREAM Act. And then finally, you can begin submitting scholarships starting after you submit your application, and after you've been admitted, and after you accept your offer, that's when you can begin applying to SDSU scholarships. And the reason for that is because we have a new scholarship system where it filters scholarships that students will automatically be eligible for. So it really facilitates the scholarship going process. But because it does that, where the accounts are only for students who are attending SDSU. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along to Rosie. And I'll be clicking on for you. Or Todd,
Actually, well, just in this little transition, so Rocio, as you kind of get your screen ready and everything, I have a couple quick questions. There's been some great questions that have been submitted either prior to and then as we've been speaking here so far. So let me just get to a couple, knowing that we'll get to as many as possible by the end of it. Many of them are the same, so if we don't word your question exactly correct, know that there's something similar. A lot of questions have come along related to majors. So you went over all that section on the webpage where there was, there's a nursing program, there's a music program. Just to reiterate, where can students go to find details about the majors that San Diego State would offer?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really great question. Let me pull up the website. And do I have access to the chat? If not,
Should be able to see the Q&A.
Okay, where can I put the link that I want to share with them?
Send it to, why don't you do this? Why don't you, if you have an actual link where the majors would be listed, send that to us, one of the team here at ICOE, and we'll put it up before the end of the session somehow, some way. We'll figure it out how to add it to one of the ending slides.
Sounds good.
And then as you're typing that in, I know, Rocio, you're about to be queued up here. We're glad you're here. One of the questions.
I'm going to go ahead and click through with Rocio.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll be doing the screen for that, yeah.
And then the other quick question that a number of students had was related to the SAT and just confirming that that students aren't necessarily required to have that. Many students here in Imperial County haven't even had the opportunity to take it here this last 6 months or 7 months or so. So unfortunately, and they're worried that they may not be able to take it in the future. So just to confirm, SATs are not required.
Correct. SATs are not required by any CSU or any UC, not even as an optional thing, not even as like, oh, well, what if they have a perfect score? No, we are not allowed to take it into consideration. Let me share my screen real quick so I can show you so this is a link that I'm going to share with you all. It's right here. If you scroll through, it goes through the majors and the minors, but if you scroll through right here, let's say you want to know, okay, what's child development about? You click that, it'll take you directly to the child development website, and it'll go over the major. It goes over what can you do with this degree, so on and so forth. And you're like, all right, cool. So I'll have that open, and then you can like keep scrolling through here If you want to know the difference between environmental engineering and maybe environmental sciences, that is also here as well, and it'll take you directly to the website for each department. From each department website, you can look up the people who work at the university. You can look up study abroad, specifically within the engineering major. You can look up what MESA is, so on and so forth. So it has all the information specifically for that major. So I'm gonna go ahead and share that, that link with you, Todd, so you can share with the students. Okay. All right, Todd, did you have any other Q&A for me?
Well, since you asked, yes, there's a lot of great questions. Some of them some students have taken AP courses, some students have taken dual enrollment courses. I think I heard you answer this, but just to reiterate, if a student has 3 or 4 college credit courses, how does that play into the effect with San Diego State?
Yeah, so it's gonna depend on how it's in the student's transcript. So if in the student transcript, in the high school transcript, they're awarding 2 years worth of credit for a community college class, then we'll consider that as well. So let's say a student took like Spanish 102 at Imperial Valley College, and in the high school transcript, it's showing that they're getting 2 years worth of credit for high school, then we'll consider that passing grade twice. Does that make sense? Like, let's say if they got a B in Spanish 102, then we're going to count that B for twice, because if the high school gives them credit for two semesters of Spanish versus 1 semester of Spanish.
Great. And then what about an AP course if they took AP chemistry?
Yeah, so we're also going to count that as well for weighted. So let's say if a student passes both semesters with a C or better, we're going to award them that extra point. If a student, I don't know if any of the high schools in Imperial County did this, but if they did pass, no pass, and they passed an AP class, we will not be awarding an extra point for a pass grade, because technically it's not a letter grade.
Well, those are it for the questions right now, unless we wanted to get to Rocio, we could go through some more. So Esther, I'll leave it to you as to.
We'll move on to Rocio's area, because she has a lot of really important information to go over, which I think will be very beneficial for students. And then we'll do some more Q&A. And then we both have our email at the end. So if students have more questions or anything like that, they can still reach out to us.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. Thank you, everyone. So my name is Rocio. Like I said, I work as an outreach specialist for the Office of Educational Opportunity Programs and Ethnic Affairs, which is a program that supports first-generation low-income students. And so as you're thinking about going to college, you also want to be aware of what types of support are available for you once you get to college, because it's a long journey that you definitely don't have to navigate by yourself. And so when we think about EOP, think about it as a community of support, a family for you once you get to college. I was an EOP student myself. I'm a first-generation student. I was from a very low-income background. My parents could not afford to take me to college at all, but I was still able to go to college, get financial aid, and get support from programs like EOP. So if you can go to the next slide. So a little bit about EOP. We are celebrating 50 years, and we were established in 1969 as a result of the civil rights movement. So we had a lot of student activism to promote an expansion of higher education, and because of that work, we now have EOP. So our mission is to improve the access and retention of historically low income and underrepresented, underserved students. Each EOP is going to look different at every CSU. And so the one that I'm going to be focusing specifically is the one at San Diego State. Go to the next slide. Yeah, so the EOP at San Diego State provides you a wide range of benefits, and here are a few of them. So if you're an EOP student, you have access to an additional counselor who can help you select your classes for your major, who can help you understand how to graduate, how to select a career, and help you with any other personal issues that arise throughout your educational journey. We understand you're not just a student. There's things happening outside of the classroom that can impact your ability to be a successful student. So our counselors really are amazing people that want to help you graduate college in a really great manner. And they can also provide you that advice on what classes to take, because once you're in college, you're picking your classes on your own. It's not your high school counselor doing it. So you want to make sure you're picking the right classes to graduate on time. So our counselors are definitely a great support for you all, and you can schedule an appointment with them pretty quick. We also offer transitional programs to the university. So we want to help make sure that that transition to college is a smooth one. A lot of times our students get shocked at the level of academic rigor and just the difference from high school to college. So EOP has a lot of programs that can help you better facilitate that transition. So one of them is our first contact orientation, which is pretty much a college orientation that's free, where you can bring your parents for free. Usually we have it in person, and we have food and provide campus tours, etc. But you also get to meet your EOP counselor. You get to review the requirements for your major. You meet other EOP students, and you get to understand all the other services that are going to be available for you when you come to college. We do have different bridge programs. So one of them is the Best Summer Bridge Program, which stands for Building Essential Skills and Talents. So I actually run that program, and what it is, it's a 5-week program where it's optional, but if you participate in it, you get to meet 100+ other students who are also incoming freshmen. You take college classes before all the other freshmen arrive to campus in fall. And so you get a head start and learn really what it's like to take a college course. And we offer you free tutoring for those college courses so that you can start really well on your first semester. We also provide a lot of social opportunities for you to just hang out with other EOP peers, to go on field trips, to learn about the resources on campus, to meet other staff and other faculty. So when you start the fall semester of your freshman year, if you're a summer bridge student, you already have an extensive background of knowledge because you participated in summer bridge. So that's a 5-week program that's optional, but free for you to participate and get a head start in college. And usually students who do our summer bridge program have lower rates of academic probation. They have higher continuation rates, meaning they continue in college and don't drop out, and are just more successful students. We also have a similar program for our transfer students. So the difference between that one is that one, it's for students who are coming from the community college system, and that it's a 1-week program instead of 5 weeks. That's usually because our transfer students, sometimes they have more responsibilities, families, jobs, and so they can't commit to 5 weeks of being in a program. But it's still a great program where they get to meet other transfer students, they get to meet faculty, they get to meet staff, and they just get to learn a lot of skills of how to be better at time management, how to study, how to pick your classes, all of those skills that you're gonna need as a college student. We also have a learning support center where we offer free tutoring on almost every class. And if we don't have a tutor for your class, we're gonna go and find one. We also have student success workshops. So actually this semester we're doing a workshop on how to go to graduate school, how to do a faculty panel and how to meet other faculty, what are expectations of virtual learning and classrooms. So ultimately a lot of workshops to help you in your future. We have our own computer center and 50% off printing, because in college you pay for everything, but we give you some discounts with EOP. And we also have a mentoring program where if you'd like to participate, you would get paired up with a junior or a senior undergraduate student, and they would meet with you weekly and just show you along the journey of college and be there as another form of support. Next slide, please. We do provide financial support as well. So we have a financial aid counselor who meets with our students Monday through Friday in the afternoons. This is really great because you have access to a financial aid counselor quicker than other students. And you can meet with Adolfo, that's his name, one-on-one. Sometimes you can bring your parents as well if your parents also have questions about financial aid. So a lot of our students really meet with Adolfo to understand their financial aid process, to understand how much money they're being awarded, how to apply to scholarships, any questions about financial aid. Adolfo is a great support that meets with our students. We can also provide you an EOP grant. That's not something you apply to. We just evaluate it based on your economic need. Usually this grant is awarded to students that live in the residence halls because they do have a higher cost of living. And we can offer you a lot of opportunities to go to different conferences and workshops and luncheons. Last year, we took our students to our 50th anniversary conference in Long Beach and paid for the hotel, paid for everything, and our students got to network and meet other leaders across California. We have our own EOP graduation ceremony, so if you want to be a part of a smaller ceremony, you can have the opportunity to bring your family, and it's very first-gen center. We have speakers that are first-gen students that talk about that experience, and it's just a bit more intimate experience for you to participate in. We also have volunteer opportunities, and we did have an undocumented resource area. And now it's an undocumented resource center. So it's growing, it's expanding. And in that center, we have she was the coordinator of that, but she's now the director, Cynthia, who is an amazing resource for our undocumented students and helps them with different workshops, with financial aid opportunities, with Know Your Rights workshops. We have had lawyers as well come in and provide free legal counseling. So there's a lot of services and support for our undocumented students and also our students from mixed status families. So what that means is that maybe the student is not undocumented, but their parents are undocumented, or their siblings are undocumented and they need some type of support. We have that as well. And our Guardian Scholars Program, we have a scholarship that can pay for the housing and for the tuition of our Guardian Scholars, who are students that come from the foster care system, wards of the court, or unaccompanied homeless minors. And next slide. So this is what you need to have in order to be eligible to apply to EOP. So you must be a California resident, which all of you will be because you're graduating from a California high school, or AB 540 student. And you have to be a low income student. The way we determine if you're low income is we look at your expected family contribution. When all of you fill out the FAFSA or the DREAM Act, whichever one applies to you, it's going to tell you your expected family contribution. And if that number is $1,500 or less, then you are considered low income. When I was in college, my expected family contribution was zero because, like I said, I come from a low income background. So that means that I was considered a low income student and I was able to be a part of EOP. First generation students are given priority. So that means that your parents or your guardians do not have a college degree from the US. Think about it like that. They do not have a bachelor's degree from the US. So if they received a degree from another countries, don't report that because you're still considered first generation here. If your parent or guardian went to a community college to take an ESL course or just to take some classes, but they weren't getting a degree, then you're still first generation. So keep that in mind when you're answering questions in the Cal State Apply about your first generation status. You have to demonstrate need of academic and transitional assistance. The way you do that is by answering our essay questions in the application, and you have to apply before the application closes. So if you're a senior, a high school senior right now, you must apply before January 15th. This is your only time to apply, because if you already get admitted to San Diego State next year and then you realize, oh, I forgot to apply to EOP, I want to apply now, you can't. Your only chance to apply is when you are filling out the Cal State Apply application. And you must first be admitted into San Diego State in order to gain admission to EOP. Next slide. Yeah, so I'm just giving you a brief overview of this. We do a lot of workshops to help students. So if you want to learn how to apply and fill out the Cal State Apply application, we do have 2 workshops coming up where we're actually going to log into Cal State Apply and go step by step, demonstrating how you apply through Cal State Apply. That's Friday, October 2nd and Friday, October 16th. For different, one is for freshmen with no college coursework, and then one is the freshmen with college coursework. So below is the Zoom info. And we also have virtual office hours. So Nico is another outreach specialist, and myself, we're gonna be available through Zoom to have one-on-one appointments with you all. Yeah, so here's the info. Thank you, Esther. I'm available Thursdays from 1 to 4. If you wanna just join my Zoom meeting and ask any questions you have about how to apply to SDSU, how to apply to college, how to apply to EOP, things like that, I can definitely meet with you and just guide you through that process. And I also speak Spanish if you wanna, if you feel more comfortable in Spanish. And then the next one, Nico as well, he's available Tuesdays from 1 to 4. And I think that's it. Is there another one? Oh yeah, so that's our information right there if you have other questions, but I did want to leave some time for just any other questions that you all had.
Well, we're glad you did, Rocio. Thanks again. Once again, this is Todd from the team here at Imperial County Office of Education. We're glad that, Rocio, you and Esther were able to join us today. And Esther, I know that you have another session set up for San Diego State. I believe it's, is it at the end of this week, or is it, it's at the end of this week, right?
It's on the 24th at 4 p.m.
So if you like this session, or if you need more out of, you want to hear more about San Diego State, at 4 p.m. on September 24th, we'll be doing this again. Esther will be back. She'll have some of the points that she had today, so you maybe tell some others. But real quick, before you guys leave, a couple quick questions. Just to let you know, by the way, this webinar is continuing on until 5 o'clock. So we have schools scheduled at the top of every hour. So at 2 o'clock, we have an Ivy League school coming on. Columbia University from New York City is here waiting for this session to end. You're invited if you're an attendee, and if you're a student, you want to just hang on, feel free to. There'll be some other students joining in as well. But real quick, before they do leave, Esther, real quick, folks had some questions about things to do in San Diego, maybe as part of student life in San Diego. This year maybe being an exception, right? Because we're not in San Diego right now. We're still in high school. But in the normal year, which we assume next year will be a little bit more of a normal year, maybe you can share a little bit about what a typical student life is like if you're a freshman at San Diego State.
Yeah, so my little cousin she just started her freshman year this year online. So it's a little different. So when I asked her what her experience like, she's like, it's cool. But she did get to do summer bridge online with Rocio, and I know she gave a lot of positive feedback about that. She's very quiet, very timid. So summer bridge really helped get her out of her shell. Just in general, whether if you don't get into EOP or you end up not doing summer bridge, you do something else, it's very easy to build community at SDSU because you can find your home anywhere it is. Like SDSU is one big community, and yes, we do pride ourselves in this whole idea of like one SDSU, one campus. but we're also acknowledging that, you know, you do find your pod, your family, your community, your people. And so that's very easy to do. Even right now that everything's going online, all of our programs are doing so much to make sure that students feel like they're part of the university. So I think for me, even my personal experience when I was a freshman, it was huge. It was very different for me coming from Chula Vista. So for me to become even though SDSU is considered a Hispanic serving institution or an HSI, it is still very different because it was a very different community than what I came from when I was in high school or even middle school. But even then, I found my group of people. I found a group of like-minded individuals within my organizations, and that really helped propel me forward and support me throughout my time at SDSU. Rocio, did you want to add on to that?
Well, I had a
Yeah.
quick question to that point. You mentioned diversity and finding your place,
Yeah.
and you mentioned Hispanic serving institution.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Imperial County, we're just our world is very Hispanic. So I
Yeah.
guess a question that a couple students have asked is, what does the diversity look like at San Diego State?
Yeah, let me actually share that with you. Rocio, did you want to talk about that while I pull up the data on ASIR?
Yeah, go ahead and pull up the data. But we are definitely a very diverse campus. We're one of the most diverse campuses. And I think Esther mentioned a little bit about our identity centers that we're expanding and growing. We have over 300 student organizations. A lot of those student organizations are cultural. And just because it's from one culture, they're really open. You can just go and attend and learn about cultures different from your own. But our identity centers are definitely a great spot as well that's growing with cultural programming. So I think Esther mentioned we have a Native Resource Center, we have a Black Resource Center. Yeah, the Native Resource Center.
Is the one I forgot?
Yeah, that one. And then our undocumented resource area is now a center, right? We have now an Asian American, Desi American Center and Pacific Islander Center. So what they do is they create different events and programs. They are physical spaces where our students can go and build community. And it's really, you know, we also have a large range of international students who are students coming from other countries into San Diego State. So it's definitely a very diverse campus. I think Esther right now pulled up the statistics of that.
Yeah, so here we have our incoming data for fall 2019. We run our data in the middle of September. So right now our data is currently being run for fall 2020 items. But our trends tend to stay pretty similar, as you can see right here. And so our new incoming students, this is what their breakdown was as far as race or ethnicity. Pell Grant is the grant that you get the federal grant, which is money from the federal government that you don't have to pay back. So almost 75% of our students are no Pell Grant, but about a little over 25% receive that Pell Grant. 16% are considered first or identify as first generation students. So that is just from the incoming students that came in for fall 2019. Overall, this is our enrollment for students. In this area right here, you can see almost a little under 30% identify as Hispanic Latino students, 35% identify as white, 4% African American, 6% multiple ethnicities, Pacific Islander, Hawaiian. So this chunk right, this orange chunk right here is what identifies us as an HSI university and have services specifically for our HSI students. Recently, our newly opened Latinx Resource Center.
All right, thank you for that information, Esther. So I think we've come to the close of this particular session. It's now 2 o'clock. I want to thank Esther and Rocio for joining us today, for bringing us such valuable information. As Todd mentioned, SDSU, Esther and her colleagues will be back with us next Friday, I believe. Is that right? I'm not sure. Check your social media. The schedule is
24th.
The 24th. She'll be there. Thank you.
The 24th at 4.
So she'll be
Thursday.
back September 24th at 4. If you have more questions, we're going to get to more questions from the chat and try to answer those on the 24th as well. So thank you, Esther and Rocio, for joining us, and we'll see you on the 24th.
Thank you.
Can I mention something real quick?
Yes.
Just if there's any confusion for first generation students, just because I see a question here. If your sibling has a bachelor's degree, you're still considered first gen. So first gen is if your parents didn't go to college in the United States. And if they took like courses at the community college, that doesn't count, because that's what my mom did. She took English courses at Southwestern College. She wasn't technically a college student, so I was still considered first gen.
Thank you for
Definitely.
clarifying that.
Yes, and I really invite all of the students to come to my virtual office hours if you want to have follow-up questions and conversations.
Fantastic. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the information, for embracing Imperial County and supporting our students through the process. We'll see you guys on the 24th.